One of the biggest events of the year for One Championship is here already in January. 1165 on January 28th with the promotion returning to Japan at the Ariake Arena. A fantastic main event, a really, really good card, and I am excited for Fight Night. Well, if you're in the UK like myself, Fight Morning, because this will air actually at like 8 AM on Sunday morning. However, if you do watch One Championship on Prime Video, on YouTube, on Sky Sports in the UK now, this will be on pay-per-view. I do think that maybe this is an idea for a video at a later date, because I personally think £30 is quite a bit steep, going off of what we tend to pay in the UK, with the UFC being £20. And I know boxing pay-per-views are starting to get up to around that £30 kind of price target, but you know, for a long time they were like 15 to 20, and obviously boxing is so well established over here. But like I said, topic for another video, because this card is absolutely fantastic and there is loads to talk about. So let's do it. Kicking off the card, first fight of the night, bout 1, strawweight MMA between Hiroba Minowa and Gustavo Balart. And you know that the card is going to be good when you've got two top 5 guys kicking off the card. Top 4? Number 4 ranked Gustavo Balart taking on number 3 ranked Hiroba Minowa. Gustavo Balart on a 3-fight win streak, and I think that his style will cause Hiroba Minowa some issues. Minowa had a really good start to life in One Championship. He picked up wins over Alex Silva and Lito Adiwang, and then losses to Jared Brooks and Bokang Masen because of the wrestling that both of those guys have. And, you know, they have very, very good wrestling credentials. It's not like they just, you know, they are very, very good wrestlers, so losing to them in a wrestling contest is what it is. But I do worry if Gustavo Balart doesn't tend to use his wrestling too offensively. He does have a very, very legit Cuban wrestling background with his short and stocky build, and he has kind of like a bit of a John Lineker power about him, where he's just like a little ball of energy. I don't use little in a bad way. I just mean he's so stocky, right? And his arms are so big. But I feel like he can use takedowns if he wants to against Hiroba Minowa if that opportunity presents itself, but I also think Hiroba is going to have to stand and deal with the power of Gustavo Balart, and that kind of worries me. I have high hopes for Hiroba Minowa, but I just don't think this matchup is great for him, but we will see how it plays out on Fight Night. Bout number 2, you've got the previously mentioned Bokang Masen taking on Kato Yamakita in his second fight under the One Championship banner. He did make his debut against Alex Silva and showed some good wrestling. Will his wrestling be good enough to counter the wrestling of Bokang Masen, who has got, you know, very legit wrestling pedigree from South Africa, who of course just had their first UFC champion crowned in Dricus du Plessis, which I'm sure will motivate Bokang Masen going into this fight. He is the number 2 ranked contender in the strawweight division. You could end up in one of those scenarios where the wrestling kind of counteracts each other, and you get a striking contest in which I would lean towards Bokang, just because I haven't seen enough of Kato at this point. But we will see how that one plays out, and, you know, a win here against Kato, and you might be looking at Bokang getting a rematch for the strawweight title. I say a rematch, that's providing that Jared Brooks beats Joshua Pasio. You could just have Bokang taking on Pasio if he beats Brooks at 1166 in their rematch for the strawweight title. Bout number 3, you've got the heavyweight kickboxers in action when Rad Opic takes on Iraj Azizpour. Both these guys are so much fun to watch. If you watched Iraj Azizpour's heavyweight kickboxing World Grand Prix match with Roman Kriklia, then, you know, I'm sure you're a fan of this guy for life, because that fight was absolutely incredible. I thought he was going to beat Kriklia when he had him dropped in that first round, but Kriklia obviously came back to win that fight. And Opic, I love watching this guy. He's only been to a decision once in One Championship. Has had a bunch of fights now. Last fought at One Fight Night 11, where he got revenge over Innocente, who I think is the only guy to beat him in One Championship. I could be wrong. But yeah, this guy's super fun to watch. You know, it's going to be a little bit similar to the Kriklia matchup for Azizpour, but, you know, Opic doesn't have the same kind of reach and speed and footwork, I think. Opic is a bit more offensive. He is a bit of a bigger physique, so a bit more power behind those shots. Maybe he might stand and trade with Azizpour a little bit more. Although I say that, Kriklia stood and traded with him as well and happened to come out on top. But Azizpour is a powerhouse, man, and only takes one shot. So really, really excited for that fight. That should be fantastic. And then the final bout of these prelims, bout number 4, you've got a flyweight MMA contest between Danny Kingad and Yu Wakamatsu. Again, top 5 ranked contenders in their division. Kingad at number 2, Wakamatsu at number 4. Danny Kingad has kind of alternated losses and wins lately, although I did think he looked very good in his last fight against Saputra, where he kind of showed a bit of his wrestling that it'd be interesting to see whether he uses that against Wakamatsu. These guys are veterans of this division. They fought like literally everybody at this point. You're looking at, number 2 versus number 4, thinking these guys could potentially get a title shot with a win. Will either of these guys with a win be enough to call Demetrius Johnson back to the flyweight division? I don't know, but you're looking at a scenario where if they don't get the DJ fight, they might put themselves in line for a vacant title fight, or an interim title fight or something like that with a win. So big stakes in the final contest of those prelims. Kicking off what I assume will be the main card pay-per-view portion of this event, you've got an atomweight contest between 2 Japanese contenders, Izuki Hirata and Ayaka Miura. The thing I am most interested in this matchup is how Hirata responds after her loss to Hamseo Hee, because she wasn't able to get that fight to the ground, and she didn't really seem to have an answer for her when she couldn't get close to Hamseo Hee and tie her up like she would have wanted. And Ayaka Miura is a fantastic grappler in her own right. All of her wins in one championship have come by way of submission. She, of course, had that grappling contest with Danielle Kelly, and has previously fought for the strawweight title in MMA. So it is absolutely no joke, and like I said, a very, very good grappler. So very, very interested to see how Hirata makes adjustments. She is still only 24. I still have high hopes for Hirata, but yeah, that'll be interesting to see. Bout number 6, featherweight MMA contest. Again, top 5 ranked competitors. Number 1 ranked Gary Tonon taking on number 3 ranked Martin Dwen, who is of course the former champion of this division and the lightweight division for that matter. Nguyen, safe to say his strength of schedule and quality of performances has not been up to scratch since losing the title. He did get a win last time out, 1 Fight Night 7 over Leonardo Cassotti, who was a late notice replacement, and I thought he looked quite good. He did what he needed to do to win, and kind of showed to me that he can win fights with experience, and not get carried away, right? And that could prove vital against Gary Tonon, who of course is an incredible jiu-jitsu specialist who proved in his last fight against Shamil Gasanov that he doesn't need to be winning the fight to get a submission win. And I thought Gasanov was going to cause him all kinds of problems, to be honest, and he, answered it fantastically. So, fantastically? Yeah, we'll go with that. Really, really interested in this fight. I think that if you looked at Nguyen's, again, strength of schedule, you would go, well, Gary Tonon is going to win. Like, why is he going from beating Leonardo Cassotti to going straight into a number 1 contender's title fight? But I think that Nguyen is a really difficult matchup for Gary Tonon in the same way that Tan Lee was a difficult matchup for Tonon. He is, of course, Lee was the only guy to beat Tonon in one championship so far, because he's got the composure to not get trapped in anything. Well, he might get trapped in something. That's how good Gary Tonon is. But I think he'll be composed enough to stay safe and also look for a huge power shot to make Tonon pay for it. And that's where the fight gets scary for him, just like it did in the Tan Lee fight. So I think this is a great fight. Of course, the winner, I think, will get a title shot against whoever comes out of the title unification rematch at 1166 between the champion Tankai and the interim champion. I just knocked something over. And the interim champion Tan Lee, who I of course just spoke about. Bout number 7, catchweight kickboxing contest. I don't know why it's a catchweight, but hey, Murat Grigorian versus Sichitai. We've seen these guys fight a bunch of times in the past, never in one championship. Grigorian coming off of that loss to Chingiz Alazov, which I thought that performance from Alazov was fantastic. So no complaints there, really. And Sichitai, resume speaks for itself. In one championship, he's only lost to Superbon, Alazov, and then his last fight against Siasarani, which was a bit of a surprise. So it would be huge if he can bounce back against Grigorian. I would maybe lean slightly towards Grigorian bouncing back, but we will see. This is a great striking contest, and I'm never going to turn that down. Another fight I'm never going to turn down, which I never thought I would say, is this next one. Bout number 8, a catchweight special rules contest between Yoshihiro Akiyama, sexy armor, that guy, who's 48, by the way, taking on Dutch kickboxing legend Nikki Holskin. They will do round... I can't believe I'm saying this. A round of boxing, a round of Muay Thai, and a round of MMA. Why? I don't really know. However, I'm really excited to see it. Akiyama, I'm really glad he's on this One Championship return to Japan card. Last time we saw him was when he beat Shinya Aoki at 1X. More on Shinya Aoki in a minute, but this fight makes no sense, and I'm so excited to watch how it plays out. Holskin, of course, a fantastic kickboxer who, you know, seems to be on the decline at this point in his career. He's coming off of back-to-back losses to Sadakovic and Since McClinby. However, he's 10 years younger than Akiyama, and the first 2 rounds are in striking. I can't wait to see how this plays out. I haven't got a clue, but it should be a spectacle whilst it lasts. I will say that at least. And I'm really excited for it, honestly, but maybe that's just me. Okay. Our last 3 fights on this card. Bout number 9 is a lightweight MMA contest that we have been waiting to see for a while because it was, of course, booked back in 2021. That is Shinya Aoki, obviously a legend in Japan, taking on Sage Northcut, who returned at One Fight Night 10 last May after 4 years away. He was supposed to fight Aoki as his comeback fight in 2021. That didn't happen. He ended up coming back last year, and after a tough, first 30 seconds against Alvin Mushtaba, who I thought would be a really difficult matchup for Northcut, ended up getting the submission in 40 seconds, which blew me away. Didn't see that coming at all. Personally, for me, I understand why they've made this fight again. Aoki is a huge legend in Japan. I'm sure it would be fantastic for Sage to go out there and fight a legend in front of a Japanese crowd. But this fight made a bit more sense in 2021 when it was booked the first time, and 2 years on, I'm just like, do we really need to see it? But, the interest, I suppose, is this will be a really bad loss for Sage if he does take a defeat to Shinya Aoki. That would be all of his momentum kind of gone already against a guy that is, possibly talking about retirement soon. So we'll see what happens. I'll be interested to see if Sage attempts to grapple with him a lot. He's been talking a lot about his improved grappling, and we saw that against Mushtaba. I think, you would look at this fight and say it's striker versus grappler, but maybe we'll see a little bit more grappling out of Sage Northcut. We will see. Co-main event, lightweight submission grappling world championship is on the line when Cade takes on Tommy Langaga for a second time. These two guys met at One Fight Night 11 last year, where Cade kind of went through the gears a little bit against Langaga. Maybe that's a bit harsh to Tommy Langaga, but I always felt like Cade was a step ahead and never in too much danger, which is a shame because I had quite high hopes for Tommy Langaga. High hopes that he delivered on since that first fight with Cade, because he went away and picked up an IBJJF World Championship to prove that, I was right to have high hopes for this guy. And so I think that a lot of people will look at this and go, but Cade beat him convincingly last time out. Why do we need to see it again? And my argument would be that he went away and won an IBJJF World Championship. He has proved that he is legit, right? So that lighting looks terrible. So we're just going to leave it and be dark. This is what happens when you film videos in the UK. It starts sunny and then 20 minutes later it's starting to go all grey and gloomy. So, this is what I have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. But yeah, I think that this rematch is worth it. I would have preferred to have seen Tommy Langaga come in and face somebody else before getting another matchup with Cade personally, but I do think that Tommy is deserving of this shot. I do think he has a lot more to prove in One Championship than his first fight with Cade suggested, so I think this is a pretty good Submission Grappling World Championship contest. It's wordy, isn't it? But yeah, excited to see how this goes, and interested to see whether Tommy can put up a better account of himself this time around, although I would be surprised if he's able to take the belt from Cade just because of how good Cade Rotolo is, to be honest with you. I don't see anyone taking that belt for quite some time, but I've been wrong before, I've been wrong in the future. I didn't word that correctly at all, and also my camera's gone out of focus, so this is just L's all over the place. Alright, we're back. Main event time. Superlek taking on Takeru, one flyweight kickboxing world championship. I have waited so much time for this fight. I can't wait. I say I've waited so much time. We actually didn't know about this fight until not that long ago, so I've lied. But we knew about Takeru's debut for nearly a year at this point. We didn't know it was going to be this card or whatever, but we knew it would probably be in Japan. And we knew it was probably going to be Rodtang or Superlek, and it was supposed to be Rodtang. He pulled out of the fight injured, and so now we have Superlek. Two things to talk about there. One, if you're going to lose a fight that has Rodtang in it, replacing him with Superlek is about as good a replacement in combat sports as you can possibly get, because not only is Superlek also incredible to watch, he is deserving of this. He, of course, beat Rodtang in September at One Friday Fights 34. I know that the decision was controversial. I thought that he did enough to win it personally, but, you know, it was a close fight, so it is what it is. And the other thing to talk about with this matchup in particular is that, of course, Rodtang was going to fight Takeru in a kickboxing contest, so when you swap in Superlek, you can put the flyweight kickboxing title on the line, which, you know, I don't think that a title would have made Rodtang and Takeru feel any bigger than it already did, but it is a nice thing to be like, Takeru might win a world championship in one on his one debut. Like, simply put, I am so excited to watch Takeru walk out in front of the Japanese fans in one championship. I'm sure that is going to be one of the best moments of the year in the promotion. And then to see him go up against a guy like Superlek, who does not get the credit he deserves, frankly, for not only stepping up to the plate when needed, but also just being one of the best strikers on the planet. I'll be honest and say I don't want to jinx it, but weight does worry me a little bit. We, of course, only got 3 rounds of Superlek and Rodtang in a non-title fight after Superlek didn't make weight. I have suggested in previous videos that he needs to move up a weight class. So, fingers crossed on fight week. I don't imagine there being any issues for Takeru. I'm so excited to watch him make his one championship debut. Of course, he's been a huge star in K1 in Japan for quite some time now, but to see him make his one debut is super exciting, and yeah. This event looks fantastic. I'm going to be watching the Royal Rumble on Saturday night, so waking up on Sunday morning at 8 AM is going to be a struggle. But this quality on this card deserves it. So deserves the sacrifice of sleep, in my opinion. So yeah, that is enough said about this card. I will I be dropping another video on this? No. I've just decided, but I will drop an aftermath video where I reflect on this whole card, either the day of or the day after the event, so you can check that out on this channel, so make sure you subscribe for that. Drop a comment down below, which fight are you most looking forward to on this card? There's a few that I think jump off the page specifically, so let me know. And what is your prediction for the main event between Superlek and Takeru? Super fight, flyweight kickboxing title on the line, one back in Japan, January 28th. I can't wait. Thank you for checking out this video. Enjoy the fights, and I will see you very soon.